Good evening, everyone. I'm going to call to order the Coastal Resources Management Council's semi-monthly meeting to order. Today is Tuesday, October 28, 2025. I would ask that the record reflect the council members that are in attendance, as well as CRMC staff that is present tonight. First matter on our agenda would be approval of the minutes of the previous meeting, that being October 21, 2025. I know Lisa had disseminated them. Are there any corrections or a motion is in place to accept them as presented? Mr. Russolino, motion to approve by Mr. Russolino. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Reynolds. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? That motion carries. Subcommittee reports, Director Willis.
No direct subcommittee report tonight, Mr. Chair, except as a reminder that the Rights of Way Subcommittee will be meeting, continuation of a meeting on the evidentiary hearing for the Spring Avenue extension. That meeting will be held November 4th at the Westerly Senior Center.
Okay. Any questions of Director Willis on that report? Okay, staff report, Director Willis.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just two staff reports, and one matter. I mentioned in the past that CRMC was awarded a NOAA grant to remove the creosote pilings at the Point Street Bridge a while ago. It finally went through. We were awarded those funds, and we are in the process of coordinating with the Nature Conservancy and the City of Providence to begin the removal of those creosote pilings. That's ongoing and expected to occur over the course of the year, but it got the attention of our congressional delegation, who we are working with Senator Whitehouse's office to find a way to look at the remainder of the derelict structures along the Providence, East Providence shoreline and remove all those derelict pilings as well. So I'll keep you appraised of that and how that might go, but that's good news in that maybe we can look at removing some of those old derelict pilings that this agency identified in its very first special area management plan from 1983. So, and then the other matter is our next meeting would fall in November, would fall on Veterans Day, which is November 11th. The state is closed. This building is closed. We will not have a meeting on November 11th.
Okay, thank you. Any questions of Director Willis on the staff report? Hearing none, we would now go to our applications, which have been out to notice for 30 days and are before the council for review and action. First one being 2012-02-074, SHAWN and Lisa Guertin. It's an application for modification of an approved existing residential boating facility by replacing the terminal float configuration. The permitted float is 7.5 feet by 20 feet, which is 150 square feet. The proposed floats are two 4 by 15 feet with a hinged 4 foot by 7 foot connector for a total of 148 square feet. 4 foot by 34.5 feet overall. It's extending 64.5 feet seaward of the mean low water mark, but no increased variance. Project is located at Plat 25, Lot 51, 45 Mathewson Road, Barrington, Rhode Island. Is the applicant present this evening? Will you please come forward? Tracy, you have this one for us. If you could report, please.
I do, Mr. Chair. Thank you. So as noted, there's a current dock permitted at the facility. The current residential boating facility was permitted at the site in 2012-2013 by the council. There was an objection from the Harbor Commission at the time because it was longer than 50 feet seaward of mean low water. It was approved at the council with staff recommending no objection. The current application is to modify the terminal float from your standard rectangle to a wider layout, probably to help with the current in that location. It's proposed no further seaward. The project was sent to public notice, and the only comment was from the Barrington Harbor Master, objecting to conflicts with moorings and objecting to relocating any of the moorings. There are 3 items that were looked at during review of the facility that were out of conformance. First, there are stairs that are probably providing access to the shore right at the seawall. Those need to be removed because they pretty much land in the coastal wetland, and staff recommended removal as part of this. The part of the pier was too wide. That was cut down and to the 4-foot requirement this summer, and that the facility is now in conformance there. And then the overall length was probably a staff error at the time. It was originally approved, it was originally sent out to notice in 2012 as 64.5 feet seaward of mean low. And the assent was issued as approximately 64 feet seaward, which is pretty much where it is now. But the council approval was slightly below that, 63.8 rounding up. So it's my opinion that 64.5 is what we're looking at then and now. So I did not look at this as a length variance to the existing facility. As far as the objection to the facility, staff contacted the harbor master a few times. I did not hear back from him until after this report was written. There's an addendum in there that indicates that essentially the issue is with the location of some moorings. Discussion with the design engineer, they can speak as well. Staff's understanding that he attended the Harbor Commission meeting where the issue was discussed. We received nothing from the Harbor Commission after that meeting or at any point in time. I don't have enough information to determine which mooring may be an issue. It appears that and it should be in your agenda package, but the approved mooring field location in the 2018 Harbor Management Plan, which is the last approved harbor management plan for the town, shows the mooring field pretty standard in the middle of the river, with room for residential docks on one side and room for the marinas on the other. There wasn't a conflict at the time, and as it's going no further seaward, it was my opinion that there was no conflict there. Discussion with the harbor master indicates that the mooring field is pretty much most of the river. If that's the case, the harbor management plan definitely needs updating, which I know they're under interim approval working on that. But at this point in time, I don't even know if it's a riparian mooring. I don't know if it is a mooring in the approved mooring field that may be a conflict. However, standard practice is that you just relocate the riparian moorings as needed to provide space for these residential boating facilities. So I did not believe this rose to a to a substantive objection, as I didn't have enough information to determine that there was a conflict. And I have no objection to the facility as proposed.
Thank you. Any questions of Tracy by the council? Just before we get to, is there anyone that's going to speak tonight in favor of the application other than the applicant and her representative right in front of us? Anyone in the audience present going to speak in opposition of it? Okay, thank you.
So before you begin, please raise your right hands. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Okay.
Please state your names and spell them for the record.
Lisa Guertin, LISA
Ken Anderson, Anderson. I'm Skirton's engineer, Kingstown, Rhode Island, registered professional engineer.
Thank you. So you've heard the report from CRMC staff, in particular from Tracy. Do you wish to address any of the concerns?
One initial comment, and it may not be relevant, but according to Kevin Cute of your staff, the harbor management plan is expired. And even if it has interim approval, very famous case of a marina on Block Island that had interim harbor management plan approval, that approval was deemed expired and not having any jurisdiction or authority to prevent that marina from submitting an application to eliminate 20 plus moorings in a mooring field that was seaward of that marina. But the interim approval did not protect that mooring field or its or have any significance in that case. So and again, according to Kevin, the plan does not have interim approval. He said it's just expired. It needs to be renewed, and obviously there are inaccuracies that need to be corrected in there, in my opinion, regarding the moorings, some of the existing moorings.
Okay. Anything else? Do you want to make a presentation, or are you relying on Tracy's explanation in the application? Is there anything at this time that you'd like to present to the council?
Mr. Chairman, we would stand with Tracy's recommendation. Nothing further unless you have any questions.
Any questions of Mr. Anderson or Ms. Guertin at this time from the council?
Just bringing up one of your examples was of a line drawn from a Google map. In there, I'm very familiar with the site. In there, there's another mooring that's not accurate to today's Google map. Your map is inaccurate based on the moorings that are there. So there is another mooring, and you can see it in the faint outline on your picture that exists in there.
Yeah.
So that was my only concern of the data that was submitted to CRMC. I would look at how close the moorings are to that site.
Yeah.
I know the one you submitted showed 100 feet, but
Yeah.
it's not that much room.
I supplied that after the fact. It wasn't submitted with the application. The assessment of the mooring, any interference with any moorings, was my reliance on the harbor management plans, compliance with the harbor management plan regulations dealing with the siting of moorings in mooring fields. And there should not have been any moorings within 50 feet of this facility. And the proposal was to go laterally, sideways, parallel with the mooring field edge. Therefore, it was assumed that there would be no reduction in any setbacks from any of the mooring.
Well, I think the mooring is outside the 50 feet right now, but with the proposed plan, it would be within the 50 feet. That's the whole, I just wanted to get the discrepancy based on what was submitted.
And again, I think the harbor master did measure the setbacks, and they were not 50 feet. They were somewhat less than 50 feet, okay. Which, you know, in our understanding, that they should be at least 50 feet. And he measured to the existing dock, the existing float, and said that the measurements were in the 20 to 25 foot range for 2 moorings, which, in my opinion, are inconsistent with the harbor plan requirements in siting moorings, and the moorings should be moved. So,
was there a request to move the moorings?
There was not.
Okay, thanks.
It was represented that the harbor master had no desire to move the mooring. With plain English, but they are 20-foot boats that I don't think, I think he represented that they are on those moorings for 1 week or whatever the minimum is to reserve their existence, and they're not regularly, occupied. But again, I relied on the fact that if there are any moorings within 50 feet, they're not in compliance with the harbor management plan. Come to find out, it's not even valid at this point.
Thanks.
Any other,
So you'll get your chance after they make their presentation.
any other questions?
Mr. Chair, I just want to
Yes,
have
Ms.
one
Reynolds.
question for Tracy. The staff report says that you are suggesting the condition of the removal or cutting back of the existing as-built access stairs. Is that something that's been discussed with the applicant and they've agreed? And can you again tell me why that's necessary?
So our program does not allow alterations to coastal wetland, so putting a
Okay.
structure into the coastal wetland would not be allowed. Typically, access stairs are up and over to provide access for the public laterally over a structure or elevated over 5 feet, and this dock is already elevated at 5 feet. So that was the requirement to put that into as part of this. Otherwise, it would be cited as a violation.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Chairman, can I address that?
Yes,
The Gertins bought this facility, or bought the property and the dock that came with it. The dock was built 14 years ago, when originally permitted. And I would just make a plea that those steps have been there, that stairway, 4 or 5 steps down onto the, intertidal zone. They've been there for 12 years, and I would just make a point that it'd probably do more impact to the wetland to go down there and dig them up and move them than just leaving them there. I don't think they're hardly ever used, and they're pretty innocuous at this point, and they're on the very edge of the high marsh, adjacent to a vertical wall. So there's not much room. They can be pushed a little bit to the west and probably gain complete, removal from the wetland. But at this point, it seems a little bit like there'd be more impact to going down and moving them. Just leave it be.
Tracy, do you know if those stairs were previously approved?
They were not approved. They weren't part of the design. So it's essentially just another piece of the dock that the prior owners likely built out of conformance. It was too wide. They added stairs, it's not uncommon at times. And we typically correct these when they come in, either a new owner or a modification of the facility to bring it back into compliance. So the options to make it compliant are to remove them or to cut them off so they're not landing there and you could still step down there. But if they're not being used at all, I would just recommend removing them outright. Did you want me to address any of the mooring issues or let that all kind of
You can.
play out through or? Okay, just, it's my understanding, talking to Kevin Cute at our office as well, that yes, the harbor management plan is expired. I don't have knowledge of the prior terminations that Mr. Anson brought up. However, I believe the practice is that if it is expired while they're working through their next approval, that CRMC is using the past plans as the basis of our current review, which is why we treated it as that's where the field is. In either case, it now sounds like, at least based on this testimony, that there are moorings outside of that mooring field on the map. Whether they are riparian owned or belong to the mooring field and should be relocated, I think that's the biggest issue at this point as to whether, based on the information we have, if those moorings should be moved. And if so, then I don't think there's any conflict with the facility.
And I can say that Tracy's statements as to how CRMC has treated matters of this nature in the past is correct.
Mr. Willis, did I see your hand?
You did, Mr. Chair, and legal counsel actually expressed what I was going to express. When a town's harbor plan is coming to be expired or is on the verge of being expired, they ask for an interim approval so that they can work on the next iteration of the plan, whether it be exactly the same or they want to make changes to it. The interim approval allows the plan as previously approved by this council to remain intact.
Ms. Anderson?
I'm sorry, I would just reiterate the fact that this council set a precedent by allowing a town that had interim approval of an expired harbor plan to, they allowed an application to be submitted that went into a mooring field that was directly in front of it and eliminate several dozen of the town's moorings. So the council found that the interim approval was essentially non-existing rule. That was Champlin's v. CRMC, 1992.
Yeah, that is not applicable to the matter at hand over here. And I can tell you that as a matter of law.
I understand that, and historically, staff have always considered expired plans to be in effect until renewed. But I'm just bringing up a decision that.
Yeah, I'm so aware of the Champlin's case, and I spent so much time
I
on it.
understand.
I'm so aware of it, and I can tell you as a lawyer that it's not applicable to the matter at hand.
Got it.
Okay. And if I have to argue in court, like I always do with Champlin stuff, I'll do it.
Any further questions from the council at this time of the applicant or Mr. Anderson or Tracy? All right. I'm gonna ask, I did ask prior, but just to be consistent, is there anyone else present this evening that wishes to speak in favor of the application? Great. Anyone that wishes to speak in opposition of the application? Please come forward, sir. Mr. Anderson, Ms. Gertin, if you could just return to your seats, and then you'll have the last word. We'll have you come back up.
Sir, please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Please state your name and spell it for the record.
Chip Hawkins, CHIP HAWKINS. I'm the current chairman of the Harbor Commission. And been on it or been involved with it for a little over 35 years. Very familiar with this area. I actually live just down the street. If we go back to the original owner, we removed 4 moorings when that went in. We objected to it then for the length, because it was going out farther. We did a letter, which we had done for over 25 years, and we had never come to a meeting as such, but that got overturned. Where we are now, what he's doing, they're not going out into the river farther. They're just making the length of the dock longer. The 3 moorings are 18, 20, and 25 feet when you pull the mooring towards the dock or towards the boat that would be on that dock. Ideally, most of the time, these moorings aren't going to be, they're going to be 50 feet away. But perfect example, today's wind, northeast breeze, you're putting those boats awfully close to their dock. As it exists now, you stretch it out, it's no longer 18 feet, it's much closer. 18, 20, and 25 get a lot closer because of their length. They talk about the mooring field. It's not the east side where Stanley's, Barrington Yacht Club pretty much occupy that. It's the west side. And where our problem is, we take 3 more moorings away, and this goes forward. You've got 18 docks. You're gonna have another 17 applications here going, hey, let's see if we can make our dock bigger. We'll lose over 60 moorings in the harbor. We're trying to be as close as we can to, keeping the field and keeping moorings there. But I know Ken mentioned the 3 moorings. One of them, the guy uses it for about 30, 40 days. He has to use it 30 days to keep the mooring space. He also has a dock at the Barrington Yacht Club, which he uses, more convenient for. The other 2, they come and go as they please. They've done more than their time, so that's not an issue from our standpoint. We're just concerned that, we've already taken 4 moorings away. For this particular float, we'd actually take 7 away. And the previous owner had a much beamier sailboat, had a catamaran. So 2 of the moorings went way out that we had to remove so we could get to his dock. And then there were 2 off to the side. Technically, we should be able to put 1 space back in. We've left it open, just, to keep that spacing. And obviously, we don't want boats hitting, but there is enough space for us to put a boat in that area. It's deep water. Anything on the west side of the Barrington River, it's fairly shallow, and I know, that was one of the problems, having enough water. And, but I think all 18 docks can say at low tide, they don't have a lot. You guys approved one down off the end of Anchorage. We had to go out a little bit further there, just so they can have enough water for your minimal spacing. But we thought that space would be okay because of the way the structure is at the point. But here, we're pushing the elephant in the room is, my biggest worry is we're gonna have 17 other applications coming forward to extend their docks and taking other moorings away, because if you do it for A, you gotta do it for everybody else. And it just isn't that spacing. And we try to go and use as much water in the river as we can, which gets outside that perimeter. Some of them are riparian, but it's a mix of, who's there. I'd say, probably there's less riparian than there are, just mooring holders. But we're very cognizant of the depth of the water and the space that we have. But I'd be glad to answer any questions about it, because I've got plenty of history on this area.
Any questions of Mr. Hawkins?
How many moorings would have to be removed if this went through?
3.
Would you lose them or can you move them?
Have to take them away. I don't have a place to put them either. And another project that's about to happen, which is a concern for us, how many moorings are we going to lose to the 114 page when they work? Not above the water, below the water. And we're being warned that they're going to have barges, because underwater there's been a lot of movement on the lower part above the seabed.
Where is the permitting of the mooring field stand right now? I mean, it's been alleged that it's expired, they're working on it, and
We have, I'd say we probably have maybe up to 14 corrections or fixes that we have to do. When we did the original plan, I don't think anybody had a tub mooring. Now we do. And we've got to just change some of the way the rules are written for a tub mooring, because it tends to be lower chain, mid chain, upper chain. But if someone were to read it by the rules, they've got a pennant of, maybe 15 feet. Pennant shouldn't be longer than 10 feet. And that's a correction we have to do, but that didn't exist back then. And we've got something in there, but it needs to be tightened up a little. We also have some, through our rules and regulations with the town, mooring fee pricing, stuff like that we have to update. Not a lot of corrections. I think the moorings off of Barrington Beach, we need to adjust how they are defined. Most of them stack up against what we have in the main harbor. So because it's a much more open area, we've kind of beefed it up a little bit too much. And I think most of the moorings probably, maybe a couple might pass the way they're written, but we need to bring it into what the mooring field is. We don't have many big boats or heavy boats out there. But, I know one of the people that does the moorings said, if I do it legally, I can't get any of these jobs. And he goes, I haven't done a mooring in Barrington Beach now for 4 years because I'm too expensive, because I'm doing it by the book. Everybody else is cheating the rules. So we have to do some updating there. But we don't have a lot that has to be changed. We're pretty comfortable with what we've got.
who owns the moorings?
The individuals own the tackle, and the town provides the space and assigns the space.
And an individual rents the mooring, is that?
No, and they pay a fee to the town annually, but it's their mooring tackle.
Okay.
And, I'm a mooring holder, and so, when I went to the tub, And so, it's my expense to keep it approved. We have to be inspected every 2 years. And those reports all go to the harbor master.
To the nature of a license.
Okay,
Yeah. Good description. Thank you.
Yeah. okay. Any other questions of Mr. Hawkins? Director Willis?
Thank you.
Yeah.
Mr. Hawkins, there's the class of moorings of the 3 moorings that have to be displaced. What's their class? Are they riparian moorings or are they town-controlled moorings?
They're all
space.
considered town-controlled mooring.
Okay, right. But so they're not riparian.
No, but you could have someone that falls into the riparian spot, but we still control whether they're there or not.
Thank you.
Any other questions of Mr. Hawkins? All right, thank you, sir.
Mr. Chair.
Yes,
Just
Tracy.
Comment. If you look at, and I apologize, I don't know what page in your agenda, but figures 1 and 2 in my staff report.
P3.
Thank you.
P3.
The concern I have overall isn't just for this particular dock modification. If you look at figure 1, that's a more recent Google Earth aerial photo. And you look at figure 2, that's the 2018 mooring field lines in blue. And the mooring fields understandably need to be updated, and as discussed, most of the towns do. It's not just Barrington, they're always in flux. They're designed in theory to give an offset for residential boats of these homeowners. So when you look at the 2018, these docks can, the 17 they mentioned, which are actually, I think figure 1 shows all 17. If the moorings are within the mooring field that's permitted, then these homeowners could come in and receive administrative permits to relocate and modify these docks without an issue. There's also numerous other homeowners on the street that have the ability to come in and apply for a dock to be put in that same area, which sounds like they will also conflict with the mooring field, because it sounds like the town is using the entire river up to the shore as their mooring field area. So that's definitely an overriding issue, but this particular application is caught in that right now.
Any questions of Tracy on those statements from the council? Come back up, Mr. Anderson and Ms. Guertin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just want to point out if the mooring field, and I'm glad Tracy brought that image up. That's from the harbor management plan that shows the mooring fields, and it's woefully inconsistent with what's out there. There's moorings, as Tracy's image figure 1 shows, there's moorings west of the mooring field delineation. So it's really out of whack with the approved mooring field location. They got moorings all over the place on that river. And they, as Tracy said, they're using the entirety of the river. So it seems to be, it's a little unfair to the people that own the structures there, that the regulations are supposed to protect their ingress and egress to their facilities. But it seems to me that if the staff is reviewing their situation, their harbor plan for compliance, that they're going to make them move these moorings anyway to comply with the 50-foot setback from these existing structures, because they're not consistent with the mooring placement regulations and the harbor management plan regulation. So, and I would concur with your point that you asked Mr. Hawkins, that it's not necessarily eliminating these moorings. She's expanding 7 feet in either direction. It seems to me that you could move a mooring 7 or 8 feet. It doesn't need to be eliminated and maintain the current setback. Although, again, to be consistent, they should be moved, over 20 feet in some cases. If they're 18 feet right now from the Guertin's float, I mean, they're a navigation impact if they're siting moorings that close to these docks. Thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Ruder.
So I know one of the reasons we're doing this is for tidal concerns and navigation, correct?
Yes, exactly.
So
Docking.
as stated earlier, if the moorings, with the attempt to move the moorings was done before expanding the dock, in my mind would be a better request from the homeowner versus expanding your dock. You're worried about objects in your way, move the docks. Move the moorings, excuse me, ask to move the moorings, and put the setbacks in. Once your setbacks are in, if you're still having a problem, then expand your dock. I hope that makes sense. Sorry, I didn't do that the right way. But if you're saying you're trying to increase your navigation for current and you're worried about space, ask to move the moorings first before you expand your dock. Because you said the moorings are within the zone.
Well, I don't think the town would voluntarily move the moorings at the request of the Guertins to accommodate their expansion. From my read of the Harbor Commission, opinion at the moment, so
Did they ask them?
I don't believe so.
They had pointed that into
No, I didn't ask them.
I mean, it's a safety concern with the size of the boat and the dock now, getting on and off and having elderly family members get on the boat. And so it hangs over already now. So this would just be easier for family members to access and ourselves to access the boat.
And again, the moorings shouldn't be 18 feet from her float. It seems like that's completely inconsistent with the sighting guidelines in the coastal program. So those moorings, I don't know how, I don't think there's been conflict because as alluded to by Mr. Hawkins, those moorings aren't used very much. So maybe it's a timing or a coincidence thing, but I'm not refuting that those moorings are within 20 feet. I'm reiterating that they shouldn't be that close in any regard.
If I could just be,
Yes,
just
Mr.
ask a
Flanagan.
question. So the applicant obviously has no power to remove those moorings. Would have to rely on the town to remove them. So what's the applicant to do? I mean, they can't, you're probably right. It would make sense to get that done first, but they don't have the power to do that. So I'm kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place here.
Any further questions from the council? Anything else to add, Mr. Anderson or Ms. Guertin?
No, thank you.
Tracy?
I would just add two things. I permit and review many municipalities, and it is often either, if there is a conflict, it is often a letter from the harbor master or an email or correspondence that says, no problem. However, the applicant will pay for the relocation of these moorings, that may or may not be needed. So that's partly from my past practices. That's usually the remedy for these situations. Secondly, just a reminder too, that this is a type 3 water body. So the priority is high intensity boating, mooring fields, marinas, and also residential docks. So it's not your standard type 2 residential area.
Based on all the testimony that's come before this evening, has your opinion changed as originally stated, Ms. Sylvia?
No, it is not.
Do you want to say something, Mr. Anderson?
I was going to just add that it is a type 3 area, but if the mooring fields are sited properly in accordance with the siting guidelines in the coastal program, there is an acceptable coexistence of the residential facilities and the mooring fields, which should be placed with ample setback to avoid any navigation impacts or conflicts. The problem here is that the latter is not done. So it's not the fault of the applicant that they may, they may incur some some navigation impacts or whatever, but, it's due to the fact that the moorings are not properly sited, in my opinion.
Okay. You're welcome. At this time, is the council in a posture to make a motion as it relates to the application?
I'll make a motion.
Ms. Reynolds,
Based on the findings as presented in the staff report and the representations made during the meeting, I make a motion to approve the application with the stipulation that the existing stair be removed and with the standard stipulations as determined by staff.
is there a second?
One second.
A motion has been made by Ms. Reynolds, seconded by Mr. Gagnon, as stated. Any discussion? Hearing none, I will poll the council. Mr. Flynn,
Aye.
Mr. Russolino,
Aye.
Dr. Ruder,
Abstain.
Mr. Gagnon,
Aye.
Ms. Reynolds.
Aye.
I too, Raymond Cory, vote aye. Application has been granted with the stipulations attached. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank
you,
you,
Council.
Gracie, on that. Next matter is 2025-06-057, Daniel CROMIE and Susan EGAN CROMIE. It's an application to construct and maintain a new residential boating facility consisting of a 4-foot by 125-foot fixed timber pier, 3 feet by 14 feet access ramp, and an 8-foot by 18.75 foot for a total of 150 square feet. Terminal float. The facility is proposed to extend 131 feet seaward of the cited mean low water mark, requiring an 81-foot length variance to Redbook 650-RICR-20-00-01, section 1.3.1 D L2. The facility is also proposed within 2 feet of the northern property line extension, parentheses PLE, close parentheses, requiring a PLE setback variance of 23 feet to section 1.3.1 DK. The project is located at Plat 82-4, lot 32 at 82C Point Avenue, South Kingston, Rhode Island. Is the applicant present this evening? Kindly come forward. I want to come on up, Tracy, if you could report on this one too, please.
Sure, Mr. Chair. This new application is for a dock on the western shore of Point Judith Pond. It is just north of the Snug Harbor area, separated by a peninsula. The waters to the south, just above that peninsula, have been demonstrated to be more shallow. There's no docks in that area, and there are existing docks to the north of the facility. The applicant is proposing a standard area float. It does have a length variance, which is in line with the existing docks out there, and it's to achieve 2 feet of water, which is within our 18 inches to 3 foot standards. And the 23-foot property line extension variance, putting it within 2 feet of the northern property owner, is also based on the water depths and local navigation used throughout that cove. The application was sent to public notice. There were no comments received. It has to be heard by the council for the length variance. And if they had gotten a letter of no objection, that would have alleviated that variance. It's my understanding in discussions with the design engineer that there is no objection necessarily, but that a sign off would not be provided. The affected property owner does have ample room to their own facilities in staff's opinion. And the rest of the facility is designed consistent with all of our residential voting facility standards. The applicant has provided variance burdens of proof, which staff concurs with. Army 4 is still out to review. Harbor Commission had no objection. Staff has no objection to this proposal.
Any questions of Tracy from the council?
Please raise your right hands. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Please state your names and spell them for the record.
Susan EGAN CROMIE, EGAN, CROMIE.
Daniel Cromie, DANIEL CROMIE.
Russell Morgan, RUSSELLMORGAN.
Thank you.
Thank you. You've heard the report from Sylvia. Do you have anything to add at this point?
I do not.
Okay.
Summarize it well.
Any questions of the applicant or Mr. Morgan? Mr. Gagnon.
So could you talk a little bit more about the 23-foot variance for the property line extension and what happened with that? Why you're not getting the letter, and are you comfortable that there won't be any conflict out there with the neighbors?
From an engineering point of view, I'm comfortable there will not be any conflicts out there. The reason we had to scoot it in that southern kind of end is that cove shallows up to the south. The sediment elevation grades rise as you go south. There is a large fixed pier at the neighbor's property. It gets used quite a bit. That could be a reason why things get deeper in that area. We still are in satisfactory distance off of that existing residential boating facility.
And that neighbor had no objection. They just didn't.
No, the CROMIEs went and talked to the neighbor.
Yes, and the neighbor said that while they didn't want to send in a letter affirming a dock because they don't like the idea of any new docks, they understood the rationale for us wanting it in that position.
I think she said she didn't want any changes at all.
All right, thank you.
And just Mr. Morgan, for the record, you are a PE, correct?
Yes,
Professional
that is
engineer,
correct.
and your role here this evening is as an engineer on this project for the CROMIEs, correct?
That is correct.
Okay. Any other questions from the council to the applicant or their engineer? Is there anyone else present this evening that wishes to speak in favor of this application? Is there anyone present this evening that wishes to speak in opposition of this application? Anything for Mrs. CROMIE or Mr. Morgan that you wish to add at this time? Ms. Sylvia, anything to add in conclusion?
No, thank you.
Okay. Is the council in a posture to render a motion?
We'll make a motion that we approve the application based on staff report and the discussion during the meeting with all the standard stipulations.
Okay, motion's been made by Mr. Gagnon. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Dr. Ruder.
Excuse me, Mr. Gagnon, your motion included the variances that need to be approved, correct?
Yes, both variances correct.
Thank you.
Okay. So a motion has been made and seconded. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, I will poll the council. Mr. Flynn.
Aye.
Mr. Russolino.
Aye.
Dr. Ruder.
Aye.
Mr. Gagnon.
Aye.
Ms. Reynolds.
Aye.
I too, Raymond Coyer, vote aye. The application has been approved. Thank you.
Thank you.
Congrats.
Thank you, Tracy.
Yes, bring it. This is. Right. Today's when you ask the question, nobody is in hand, but the opposition, that's all. All right, next matter is 2025-06-026, Department of Environmental Management. It's an application to repair an existing infrastructure at the former Chase Marina and establish a commercial marina facility. As part of this application, the marina perimeter limit has a slight expansion to the west and south in an effort to maintain safe fairway distances and navigation within the facility. New docks and piles would be installed within this marina perimeter limit. In addition, the applicant proposes filling in tidal waters at an existing derelict marine railway basin to add additional parking spaces in the area. Additional work to be includes installation of a sheet pile bulkhead, repairs to riprap slopes, construction of timber walkways and docks, and reinforcement of existing granite block walls. It is located at Plat 303, lots 126, 127, 128. It's located 169 Riverside Drive, Tiverton, Rhode Island. Are the representatives from DEM here this evening? If so, could you please come forward? As they're coming up, Mason, you have this one?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. If you could report, please.
Sure.
Thank you, Tracy.
So this property was acquired by the state back when this Connet River Bridge was being constructed. It was utilized as a laydown area for some of the construction equipment. In the last few years, DEM acquired the property and now they're coming in for this proposal that you summarized there. So the property was last used as a marina back in around 2008 as the Chase Marina facility. Proposal, it maintains pretty much that same layout that was utilized back when it was Chase Marina. A slight expansion, as you already mentioned, 15 slips, 17 slips, so increasing one vessel on the ascending slip count. Also expanding the MPO a little bit on the south and western side. As you mentioned, they're proposing a new bulkhead, so on the directly adjacent to the parking lot, there's a riprap slope that goes down, as well as that old marine railway basin. So the bulkhead will basically go at the toe of that riprap. And then they're proposing to fill in on top of that riprap, and then also fill that old railway basin. That'll basically bring everything up to grade parking lot and allow for sufficient parking for the marina. Something to note is that marine railway basin has not been used since looks like the late 80s. CRMC assented a maintenance application to remove the old rails, and the basin basically just remained there, unused. Staff feels it's necessary for this project to fill in that basin, provide ample parking for the boats that are going to be there. During the public notice, there's no objections received. Did get a letter of support from the Tiverton Harbor Commission. Something to note is this proposal is in type 3 waters. The applicant is coming in and proposing to be more of a commercial type facility with commercial fishing vessels. Type 3 waters, priority use to maintain, expand recreational boating, enhance water dependent businesses. In my opinion, this is water dependent business. I mean, it is a marina. In a sense, you do have individual businesses, the charter or the commercial fishermen, if you will, maintain or working out of the facility, offloading their catches there, selling their catches. So in a sense, it is a water dependent business. In addition, on the recreational side of things, while they're not directly adding recreational slips to the area, something DEM proposed as part of their management plan for this facility was to have a 2-tier approach for the slips. So the first tier and priority was to go to commercial fishing vessels. The second tier would be for charter fishing vessels. So basically, if there were slips available, there wasn't a need for the commercial vessels to utilize them. It would be opened up to charter fishing vessels. So I think that's a good way to potentially get more recreational boaters out on the water by having these charter vessels able to berth there. In addition to that, they're also proposing a marine pump out on one of the docks. So this would be utilized for a town operated pump out vessel, and that would be used to pump out transit vessels coming through the area or vessels moored out in the mooring field. So that hits on the recreational aspect of the project. With these points being made, staff believes addresses the type 3 water priority use and recommends approval with the stipulations added into the staff report.
Thank you. Any questions from the council to Mason? Gentlemen, anything that you wish to add?
That covers it pretty good.
Any questions of the gentleman before us from the council?
I just have one question. Who actually runs the marina?
We have to swear.
Is it state employees or?
That's correct.
Wait a second before you answer.
Yeah.
Let me swear you all in. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Yes.
Please state your names and spell your last names for the record.
My name is David DeGost. My last name is spelled DECOST.
James O'Connor, last name is OCONNOR.
Robert Baker, last name BAKER.
Timothy Smith, SMITH, and I'm with the design engineer for project.
I'll address the question. So I'm the superintendent of state piers. So the state of Rhode Island Division of Coastal Resources would manage the marina facility. For any berthing positions.
Is it staffed?
It will be staffed. We will have an office there. Rob Baker is my assistant superintendent who will most likely be present at that between Newport and Timothy.
Is it? It's not my job, but I mean, is it busy enough to keep employees there all the time?
For state employees?
As opposed to like a concession or something that would be
leased
out?
Like we wouldn't be there 24/7.
Okay.
Right, we would go there, to check on if there's issues, concerns that we have to address. Or if we just want to go there, check on the facility, make sure there's nothing going on, but we wouldn't be there 24/7. Between Galilee, Newport, and now Chase Marina, there's more than enough to go around.
Okay. Thank you.
Any further questions? No. Is there anyone else? Yes?
Public hearing.
Yeah.
Is it a public hearing?
The only question,
License public hearing.
was there any other suggestions for the old railway site? I love what you guys are doing. First of all, I think this is fantastic. I know the area really well, and I think it's gonna be fantastic. And I like the usage. I just hate filling in a travel or a potential travel of pit or railway, obviously railway is obsolete, but just Ellis Jeff for that.
Yeah, so we had considered that, one of the problems is you have to meet minimum parking requirements, right? The site is actually under an environmental land use restriction, so we're trying to minimize, any excavation and whatnot in the area. And furthermore, just to support safe access to the vessels to the gangway, we felt it was the appropriate path forward.
And one final question, how do you guys determine who gets to get a split there?
So that is something that we're gonna be in talks with of how we're gonna, each right now, Galilee Newport is based off a waiting list, right? This is something brand new, taking over the whole marina, so we're gonna have to establish a process. We've already developed an application of, putting those applications out to the public and when they come in, how we're gonna go, whether it's based on commercial activity. There'll be several factors that we'll, discuss in-house and how we're gonna, who's the first, second. So.
Thank you.
Any further questions? Is there anyone else present this evening that wishes to speak in favor of the application? Is there anyone present this evening that wishes to speak in opposition of the application? Hearing none. Mason, anything else to add?
No, Mr. Chair.
Okay. Is the council in a posture to make a motion?
I move to approve the application, subject to the specific staff stipulations and the additional stipulations outlined in the staff report.
Okay, motion has been made by Mr. Russolino. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Mr. Flynn. Any discussion? Hearing none, I will poll the council. Mr. Flynn,
Aye.
Mr. Russolino,
Aye.
Dr. Ruder,
Aye.
Mr. Gagnon,
Abstain.
Ms. Reynolds.
Aye.
I too, Raymond Coy, vote aye. Application has been approved. Thank you. Thank you, Mason.
Thank you.
Is there anything else to come before us this evening?
There is not, Mr. Chair.
All right, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion has been made and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Seconded.
Kevin did.
I did.
I saw peripheral.